Now it muted us. Welcome back, guys, to the Microgreen Thumbcast. It's been just a little bit over a year ago since our last official episode that we had. I believe it was on April 20th of last year of 2024. And a lot has changed as we've gone through this last year and stuff for myself, for Andy. I'm sure there's a lot that's changed. We'll get into all that here soon. We've grown, the industry's involved. We're back and we're going to be super focused and sharp focused for you guys, delivering actionable content for you through this podcast with our combined knowledge of myself, Andy, and my wife. In the background, the producer, Jess, is back there. You won't see her, but you might hear her voice from time to time as well in this. Today, we're going to talk what's changed in the microgreen world and what still works and what doesn't work even, what we've tried and what didn't work, as far as businesses growing and all kinds of things. So what doesn't work is probably more important than what actually does work, right? So if you find the falls, you can move forward as well. We're going to be live. We're going to be raw. It may not be perfect. It may not be polished. It's just going to be us sharing real knowledgeable stuff with you guys. Planning on doing it bi-weekly. No fluff, just real talk with you. So let's get into this new launch of the Microgreen podcast here. So let's talk about why we took a break and what stepped back from the podcast. Our business was growing faster than what we could keep up with and keep the focus to be able to develop a podcast and make it actionable for you guys. So we had to take the step back, reassess, and get our business taken care of, because obviously that's where we make the money, right? So we have to make sure the business is focused and everything else. We want to be here for you guys, but want to be here if it's actionable steps and stuff that we can help you with, and just not jumping on and having a casual conversation. We want to make sure that we have something for you guys and make worth tuning into. Just want to keep pushing out episodes that were just fluff and nothing, and it just wasn't done right and everything else. Not that we're perfect, and we still won't be perfect, but we're here to share some stuff with you. Since we've been here, what's grown in our business coaching program as well has taken on a lot. We have two groups on school.com. One is Microgreens for Profit, which is a totally free group. And all that community is for free. We're going to have some more free stuff in there. And then we have the business coaching one, obviously, as well. That's our paid group. So that took up some time and stuff and getting that stable and everything else with that. Some exciting changes talking about that, which we'll talk about in the future episodes coming up. But yeah, solid stuff in there, some stuff in there and everything else. And want to get back on the YouTube channel and make some actionable content for you guys here, along with Andy as well. Things I've learned by stepping back myself, realize that growers don't need more surface level advice. There's plenty of that out on YouTube and everywhere else, right? There's a lot of surface area where they need structure, guidance, and someone or some people, as two of us are here, who've been there, done that, and can share some good stuff with you guys. There's so much content out there that either is just beginner fluff or just too scattered to take action on. So we want to give you guys actionable steps. This is where this podcast fits in. We want to bridge that gap and help you grow your business. So why we're relaunching is to be more clear than ever and want to help you and want to serve you. And this podcast is totally free, and you get two of us here that have grown successful businesses. So three, really. I ain't gonna discredit Jess. She's back there. She's probably done more than myself. So she's the real backbone of the business. So
she's the most qualified of all three of us.
For sure. This podcast is just back. It's aligned with our entire ecosystem now. I've been thinking about doing it for a while, and then Andy reached out or made a post I seen about there was almost a year ago the podcast. It started like 2 years ago around this time. So it was kind of the anniversary of it and stuff. But I've been thinking about trying to relaunch it and everything else. So that was the push to go for there. So thanks, Andy, for reminding me of that and getting us going for this.
No problem at all, man. I'm happy to be back. This is awesome. I'm excited. Awesome. I missed doing this for sure, but I know you guys were ultra swamped yes. when the time came and we finally had to call it for a little bit. So I totally understand. I'm glad we're back.
So about that, Andy, what have you been up to since last we been on the podcast?
So I don't remember if we had moved into our current space or not by the time we ended the podcast the last time, but we're now in a 4,000 square foot space in Havre de Grace, Maryland, which is like probably 25 minutes from our house. We looked for over a year, to try and find a new space to move into, and ideally the county that we live in, but unfortunately it didn't happen that way. So we ended up having to go to a different county, which the real joy of that is there's a toll that we get to pay every day driving back and forth. So thankfully they have like a $20 a year option where you can get that through Easy Pass, which is nice. So anybody that works for me that lives in the county I'm in, I just give them $20 a year in cash and say, hey, go buy the bridge toll. It makes things a little easier. But
Nice.
that was kind of the biggest thing I think overall was, closing the store down, which I think we had done before we actually stopped the podcast the last time. But migrating into the new space we're in now definitely was a process. There was a lot of work that needed to be done. And if you go to my YouTube channel, you can actually find I did a full commercial tour of the entire space probably a couple months after we moved in. So that way you can kind of see how we set it up, how the workflow looks, what the process is. And the beauty of it is I think we're at almost 40 racks now. It'll allow us to grow to about 160 uncomfortably, but we can do it. So that space offers a lot of major expansion,
Yeah,
which is what we did not get from the space we were in before, being a long rectangle versus a nice, good size, almost perfect square. It's like 59 by 69, so this space is definitely a huge plus. And done a lot of work on farm flow. I think maybe 3 months ago or so, I'd put in probably months worth of time to make it significantly faster. It's blazing fast now, which was the one big complaint that I had. I know you guys did too, and I totally get it. So we did a lot of work on that to actually get that up and running fully again, which is great. So now it's like crazy fast. Even the slow pages like seeds and things like that took forever. And I couldn't remember. I think we had the soil presses developed and launched by the point of the last one, but we've got those.
It was
out
right
there.
about that time.
Yeah. I think it was right around then. And you guys have one, right? I think
we do.
You got one as part of buying your soil machine, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully you guys are liking it.
Yeah, it does good. For sure. Yeah, it's a nice cleanable tool to use versus just a tray, or like a lot of people use wood or whatever else. So it's a nice cleanable thing that you can use that is designed. But I would recommend probably getting you press too many trays, because we got it free for buying the soil. So we got the lesser model, and that does grind into your hands a little bit. If you're doing a few hundred trays, like, we are doing 400 or 500 trays, it gets, after a while, it's going to get hurt on your hands. So I would recommend getting the rounded one a little bit.
Yep. Get the premium handles for sure. Yeah. It's way more comfortable. I mean, if you're doing, and that's unfortunately what the soil machine company actually bought, was the lesser handled ones. But yeah, go for the premium handles if you can. And if we think about it, Mike, I'll send you guys a pair of the premium ones so you can replace those. Okay. So just remind me, and I'll definitely shoot a pair over to you. They're definitely worth it. Those things are stupid expensive, unfortunately, but they're so much better. So much better.
Way more comfortable in your hands.
I've never actually used the cheaper handles ever. I mean, we don't even have one made in our shop. They all have the premium handles on them, but they felt like they'd be okay for like a smaller farm that has, 10 to 30 or 40 trays a week or something like that. Nothing crazy, but yeah, premium handles are definitely the way to go.
Yeah, I would say if you're getting past that 40 tray mark, you definitely probably want to get, because that's about 30 or so trays in, it's going to start hurting. You're going to start feeling it, I should say. I mean, not hurt. You're going to feel it. But it's very doable. Definitely way to start out if you're just starting out. And can they buy them afterwards to add on?
Yeah, you can. Yep. So on our website, freshsourcefarms.com, you can actually buy the whole thing as a kit. So it's got the actual press part and the handles, or you can buy the handles by themselves. So if you made the mistake of buying one with the flat handles, feel free. You can go on our website, order the premium handles, and we'll ship them right out to you. Those things are not cheap, unfortunately, for us to even buy. It's insane how expensive they are, but they are amazing, and they're obviously made of all food grade, chemical grade materials. So that's the beauty of it, is you can literally sanitize that thing and not have to worry about anything. You're not going to be grinding stuff back into your soil every time you press. So we use ours every single day. We have the first prototype that was ever made, and we have the first actual, production version of it in our shop that we use all the time. So yeah, they definitely come in handy. So, and we got one of those soil machines since then. We won a grant and got that thing for free, which was awesome. So that thing's been a game changer. So yeah, lots happened, man. Oh my God.
It's awesome to get the grant.
It's been crazy.
I paid for it. So
yeah. Yep. We definitely did ours through a grant.
I can do, right now we're doing about 300 trays, a little bit slower right now, 350 or so. And I get them done like in half an hour. I can fill all the trays in like half an hour. It's so fast.
I mean, it literally, I tell people all the time, it took a process of manually filling the tray, manually spreading, manually pressing, which takes about a minute to a minute and a half, at a decent speed, down to like 8 to 12 seconds tops. I mean, I remember the first time you used it, I was on there timing you and I was like, Mike, you just did that one in 15 seconds. And then you were like speeding up and you got down to like 8 or 9. I was like, yeah, man, let's go. So that thing's amazing.
It is. It does its
Amazing.
job for sure. It's well worth it. Even if you got to pay for it, it's well worth it if you're doing a lot of trays.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
Well,
So that was definitely a nice get.
Yes. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's changed since last time we recorded. Out there, you see a lot more people that are growing microgreens than ever, which is awesome. A lot more people are growing around us. We even have students in our group that is an hour or so away from us. So they're basically competitors. But it's great to have more growers out there and everything else. It feels like every week there's someone new launching a business, more racks, more stuff, everything like that. And they're always asking how to price microgreens. I find that is the number one question I get a lot. What do I price my microgreens at? I always ask them, well, what's your inputs? How much does it cost you to make a tray? How much does it cost you to make a package? How much does that cost? There's are some of the questions that we get all the time, we see out there and everything else. Talking about that, we do have a pricing guide that's in our Microgreens for Profit group. It's $10 if you join that group for free. It's $10. You can get that spreadsheet that we made on how to price microgreens. Very, very helpful in that and everything else. So definitely, if you want, check that out. If not, check out our free group anyway. But that's what I've been noticing a lot. Andy, what have you been seeing out there? More noise, more starting? What's going on? What do you see?
Yeah, we've definitely seen some people pop up around us. I mean, and it's no different. I mean, I've coached several people that are very close to me. I mean, I've had when we had the storefront, we had people walk through the front door trying to sell me microgreens, ironically, to sell in our store. And I was like, apparently you didn't do any research before you walked in here.
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't like a thing where, get that crap out of here. I mean, I gave them actual advice because like some of the guys had just obviously clearly not great products, clearly not great packaging, stuff like that. Because I mean, ultimately, the goal would be to try and find people to fill in the stuff you don't want to do anymore. You don't want to, if you don't want to go to farmers markets anymore, then there should be an opportunity for a microgreen grower to start in that area, because in the end, no matter where you are in your competition level, everybody that's involved is helping educate the public on what microgreens are and educate them about the health benefits to them. So it makes Mike's job easier to sell microgreens when somebody that's near him is also talking about microgreens, whether they're buying his or Mike's. Ultimately, if that other person goes out of business or they lose out or whatever, or they find Mike's and they find they like theirs better, then it's an easy sale because they already are familiar with the product. That's the hardest thing we've got to overcome, as an entire community across the globe, literally. I mean, Sprouts ultimately are still fighting that battle, and they've been out long before microgreens, at least like as far as a relative understanding of what they are. So, the fact that at this point, I think microgreens have almost, I don't want to say surpassed, but they got to be pretty darn close to surpassing Sprouts in popularity, mainly because of the risks and things that are involved with Sprouts, with like pathogen and disease issues, things like that. So I think overall, it's definitely a booming market. And, the biggest challenge everybody always has is, like you said, pricing, sales, marketing, things like that. Growing them is the easiest part, by far the easiest part, that's awesome. The production process is simple, but, without customers, it doesn't do you any good, so that's the biggest piece you got to figure out.
Yeah. And without pricing them correctly is the biggest challenge. Because if you price too low, you're not going to make any money. If you price too high, nobody's going to buy them. So you've got to know your inputs and you got to know all that stuff. Everything else, you're toast. I think that's why most people go out of business, is because they don't know their numbers or they don't know how to run a business. They can grow, they can sell, but the whole business aspect is a whole different thing too. The tax man comes around every year. You got to know how to get your taxes done and what you need to write off and all that stuff and everything else. But that's a whole other subject that we could spend days on that part. But But customers have even changed a little bit. Grocery stores are being more of a buyer now for local microgreens. Restaurants, chefs, they change constantly of what they want, right? So you got to be on top of what they're wanting and what their needs are if you're going in that realm. If you're going to sell for grocery or restaurants, you got to know what the microgreens are now, what's in popular now, what's going on now. So you got to be tuning into this podcast and other things to know what's going on in the world of microgreens, so that way you can stay on top of stuff and be ahead of the curve other than everybody else. Standards higher now. So the more people are in the business, which is a good thing because it brings everybody's level up, right? Your level gets higher because competition does that. If there was no competition, no sports teams would ever be any good because they don't no need to get better because there's no competition. Same thing for us. There's always competition. That's a good thing. People expect clean, constant quality products, no mushy products. Packages has got to be looking halfway decent. You got to look perfect. Some of that local feel is good, but don't look like a hobbyist. Don't look like somebody who's growing in their backyard and they growing different stuff and everything else. Just make sure you look like a true business. There's been people around here that have tried to copy us, and the grocery stores are too far for us to go. And they're like, hey, look at their YouTube channel and copy what they do. Well, they never bought coaching from us or anything else, which we would have helped them out. And they try to copy us, and they're failing because they don't know everything that we know. Because it's not just about packaging. It's not just about what it looks good. It's not just about how to grow it. It's a lot of other aspects. So they keep on constantly asking us to come there, but it's just too far of a reach for us. So I would help them people if they reach out to us, and probably would do it for free to help that grocery store because that's a whole chain of stuff and everything else. But you got to have good quality products as their demand is going to be there. Grocery stores are looking for that local. Andy, I know you've gone out and pitched and done stuff with everybody. How did you go about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, when we're dealing with chefs, we're trying to plan an appointment as best we can. Sometimes we'll walk in. It's rare. I mean, we usually try and avoid that unless we know we can find the chef ahead of time, because that does open a door when you're walking through the front door and you say, hey, I'm here to talk to Chef Matt or whatever, and they're like, oh, okay, let me go get him. They assume you know him even though you don't. You've never met him before. So just knowing the chef's name, we found is a much easier way to walk through the front door and actually get past the gatekeeper, which is basically the server or the attendant that's right there when you walk in. So it kind of helps get past that point. And oftentimes, no chef is going to turn down free stuff. I mean, literally they will not. So if you can get in front of them, you're in good shape. As for grocery stores, same thing. I mean, we don't always try and schedule an appointment. I'll usually try and find out when the produce manager is working, and then I'll just make sure I go in when it's not crazy busy. Sometime during the week, preferably not on the weekends when they're going to be the most crazy. That seems to work out pretty good. And then, those are kind of our two bigger markets, but we've been leaning a lot more in the restaurant side of things too. And it's funny because your reference for the guys that are growing, and selling down in that grocery store and they tried to copy you. This one time we did a video with a chef, and he's been a chef of ours for 4 years now. And he was making their signature dish, on video for this thing. And I was like, are you really okay with literally having somebody film your signature dish being made? He's like, Andy, I could have another person standing here and telling them what to do, and they're still not going to make it as good as I can.
Yep.
So it's very similar to what you're talking about, when you try and get somebody that's going to attempt to copy you and go from there. So that's why, you have to build confidence in your own products. You have to be able to present. And like Mike said too, I mean, you've got to find that fine balance between looking like a really, really, really crazy strong business and still finding it to be local, finding a way to make it look professional, but also make it look local and not make it look like he said somebody doing it out of their basement or whatever, where they're handwriting all their, names of crops and stuff like that on their stuff. It's got to look good. I mean, we've won over grocery stores that turn down other growers because of that, because of how nice our website looked, because of how nice our packaging and labeling looked, so it's a big plus when you've got that opportunity and that ability to put together something really professional. We recently, probably 3 or 4 months ago, I wish I had one physically to show you, but we redid our chef menu, and it looks incredible. I mean, it's I think a 6x11 postcard now, and it's the soft touch paper, which I love from Vistaprint. I've talked about it in the past, and it looks incredible. I mean, you give that to a chef and they're like, holy crap. I mean, they're expecting a printed out 8x8.5x11 sheet of paper. We're giving them a nice actual card.
Yeah.
So they really enjoy that. It's a cheap expense to have those printed. Obviously I did all design work, so I didn't have to pay anybody, thankfully, but nothing like Fiverr or something like that. You can probably get somebody to do it for pretty cheap. But yeah, that's been little things like that make such a huge difference, that it just shows you care and it shows you want to look professional. And we've been asked, I don't know how many times, are you guys a franchise? Are you guys a franchise? And we're like, no, man, we're just damn good at what we do. So
you want that impression that you're really good and you're really professional, but you want to make sure they understand that you are the local person too, because
Yeah.
a lot of them want to spend money with local, especially when you go to
Yep.
restaurants. Like eat local kind of thing is all out there. So it is a fine line, like Andy was saying. You want to look professional, you want to look like know what you're doing, but you want to keep that professional, that local kind of feel as well. So, but by
Yep.
Andy going in as the owner, or myself or Jess going in as the owners, that makes it local a lot alone, right? That you're still there, you're still doing stuff and everything else, so they understand that you are local. At least to start the account, right? At least to get the count
Yeah.
going up and everything else, you want to make sure they understand who the owner is, and then they can contact you. And then when they're on the phone with you, if they got something going on, issue, or they need more products, or whatever, they know who they're talking to. Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it boils down to it, I mean, local translates to fresh.
Yes.
Translates to getting it immediately. I mean, that's really the big thing. It's like, yes, you're supporting your local community, but there's also major benefits to having a local product, like freshness, like quick delivery. I mean, they're going to get long shelf life out of everything. It's going to be somebody they can call anytime, and they know they can reach out to you. And it's not going to be, some person in another country answering the phone as customer support. It's going to be you picking up the phone, or one of your employees picking up the phone, or something like that. And that's nice that they have that access to something like that. So that's a lot. Being local is just a lot more than supporting the local community. It translates to all those things and more ultimately.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, you guys, if you're enjoying this, or you would like to go ahead and make sure you hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and head over to Andy's channel as well and subscribe to his channel if you're not over there either. So make sure you subscribe to both of our channels. Like the videos on both the channel, helps us both out. We definitely appreciate that. This helps to get out there to more people so we can help more people. Speaking of that, there is more content out there on Microgreens. You'll see a lot of YouTube channels pop up, a lot of older ones, the newer ones, and there could be some bad advice out there as well. Just because they're on YouTube telling you how to do something doesn't mean it's correct advice. So be careful who you're getting this stuff from. I mean, everywhere we look, I see short videos. I see how to start a microgreen business, flat out, and a lot of it is flat out wrong. 100% wrong, and they're leading you down the wrong path. So I hate for anybody to be led down that path. That's the reason why we are, and I think Andy's in the same boat here, making this commitment with this podcast, putting out correct content on YouTube and giving you guys the real stuff from people that have been doing it for 5+ years. Right? You've been at 5 years, right, Andy, too?
Yeah, we just passed 5 years in May.
Yeah.
Yep. So
awesome. Over 10 years of experience between us, that's a lot. Yeah. So
and the biggest thing is we've got full-time experience.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how long. When did you guys start full-time? Pretty much right away, right?
6 months in.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and ours was December of 21, so I guess it's been almost 4 years of full-time at this point. So that's huge, man. I mean,
basically July of 21.
You gotta walk away from a job.
Yep. I had no problem with it. I want, that was our 100% goal, and I made that very apparent at the beginning. If we were going to do this, that's what our goal was. But that doesn't mean you're going to hit it when you go out and set that. But I didn't think it'd be 6 months. It just it really took off faster than I thought.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So be careful who you get information from. Make sure they're reputable. Make sure they understand that they've been in business for a while. They just didn't pop up growing microgreens a month ago, and they're trying to tell you how to run a business or how to grow microgreens, because they ain't even got enough trials underneath their belt to understand what could go wrong, what's going to go wrong with the crops, what's going to go wrong with beets. Everybody has problems with beets. We've grown hundreds of trays of beets now, so we can help lead you in that direction and help you out with that. It's easy to get inspired, which is great when you see a reel and you see somebody claiming that they're making $5,000 a week and they just started growing microgreens 2 months ago. It's great to be inspired, but let's be honest, that's probably not real, right?
Yeah.
The internet, what is that? The majority, everything on the internet's true, right? He's a rich model. So be careful. That's what. So we want to do our part. I believe Andy's on the same part as this, just giving back and giving the truth to you guys.
Yeah.
Because the more we can raise this community of microgreen growers, the better it is for us. Being people are in it for 5+ years, and it just helps us get our business elevated and everything else in the microgreen industry looked at as a better thing to get, and get local instead of getting from the big guy out in California or the big farms out east and stuff like that. So we want them to get from us local vendors. I would rather somebody be in the other town of me and they take over the local business in that town, great. I'll do the business here. We'll go to another town. No big deal. The more local, the better. The more local growers, the better. That's what we want to see. Andy, what kind of bad advice have you seen out there?
Oh my God. I literally did a YouTube video on bad advice at one point. I mean, just basic stuff, like a lot of, you know, and I want to preface this by saying, if you're watching and you're trying to get into like a decent sized business, don't watch YouTube videos from people that have only ever had a rack or two ever. You know, I mean, they have no clue how to actually get into a commercial space, hire employees, run payroll, you know, do taxes, walk away from their job and do it full time, short of being a full time YouTuber, you know, things like that. I mean, that's really like, I would say the biggest thing. Like, if you're trying to literally get big, then follow guys who are big. You know, follow Robert, follow Mike, follow me, follow Dave from Micro Acres, you know, guys that have like really done a good job with growing their business large. You know, Robert's, I think, up to almost 70 racks at this point, you know, down in Florida. Robert Meredith, who I'm talking about. So I mean, he's got a massive farm and he does almost zero coaching and anything else. I mean, almost his whole entire thing is all freaking microgreens. It's crazy. So massive operation. So those are the guys you want to, you know, pay attention to, because yes, a farm that has a couple racks that's been doing it for a few years will know how to grow crops, but they aren't going to know how to grow that same crop when there's 400 or 500, 600 other trays in that same room, and you've got a humidity problem, and you've got a temperature problem, and you've got a lighting problem, and all these things that we've been through, you know, through trial and error over and over again. That's where like real experience comes in, where you've actually got that kind of stuff. But from a bad advice side, I mean, I think one of the biggest things I've seen that drives me out of my mind is blacking out anything. You know, I mean, there's like, that's how you're taught. I mean, you go out and you look at almost everybody's stuff. They're like, oh, put everything in blackout, put everything in blackout. You absolutely do not need to do that. There's no reason for most crops. I mean, there's a couple of things we'll still do it if we see it came out of germination. We're not super happy with it, but it's very rare because, you know, like when you're in a position like Mike and I, we're about 300 trays a week. He's about 300 trays a week right now. You know, it's really, that's 300 trays of blackout trays you got to wash every week. It's a waste of time.
Yes.
You know, so little things like that. I mean, just, you know, stupid stuff. But that's kind of, I think, the big glaring one for me is just that, you know, you're just adding extra work that's unnecessary. But I know I did a 5 myths. I think it was 5 or 6 myths on YouTube at one point. So you can go check that video out and kind of get a better idea. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but that was a fun video to do. And it was very blunt.
Yes.
So,
and sometimes it needs to be blunt.
Yeah. I mean, cause like, you know, there's a lot of bad advice, but I'd say blacking out things is probably number one, as far as just wasting time and wasting effort and not having to wash those extra trays. You know, save yourself some time, try it, you know, put things right into the light, try one next to the other on the same shelf at the same height, you know, do one blackout, one not blackout, and you're going to see they're both going to come out exactly the same in the end, if not better when they go straight to the light, you know, so don't waste your time with that. Just simple, super simple.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. And what Andy's talking about blackout is after weighted germination. Because I know there's a lot of times I talk to new growers and they think blackout is the weighted germination. That's weighted germination for the 3, 4, 10, 7 days, whichever. And then people would take it out before it goes into lights and put it in a blackout period. We don't do that anymore. Occasionally, the best thing I would advise, if you still think it needs something like that, also try just putting it on the germination rack without weight on it, without a blackout dome, and not underneath lights. Just it's in like ambient light. That will help as well more than what blackout will, because you're not going to have the issues that are going to arise from what can happen with blackout. You know, you've got more mold susceptible, more watering is going to be in there. So you're going to have more mold susceptibility on that. So yes, I agree, Andy, 100%. Stop blacking out.
Yeah. And I'm gonna paste my my actual video on my myths thing into the comments too, so you guys can check that out at your own time.
Awesome. And as we get into the business side of the bottlenecks here, guys, if you want to leave comments, go ahead and make comments. We will be doing a Q&A session after we get done with this episode of the podcast. Right here, right after, we'll have a Q&A session. But if there's anything that pertains to anything that we're talking about right now, at that time, put it in the comments, and we will bring that comment up while we're talking about it and answer it as well. So don't hesitate to put any comments in as we go along. Talking about bottlenecks, though, it used to be people just trying to figure out how to grow microgreens. That was the bottleneck, right? Now the growing part is easy because there's so much information out there on how to grow. And then you can learn that and you can watch multiple videos and learn how to grow microgreens by your own trial and error after you watch some videos. That's easy. But the pricing is the toughest part, as I said earlier. And then the systems also, your systems within the farm, how you got your system set up. Are you walking 8 miles? I know it's not that far, but just exaggerating, from germination all the way over to your planting area. You're bringing that stuff so far back, so when you set up your systems, you set up your farms, you want to make it a circle kind of, heart planting, the germination rack, then it goes to the growing racks, and then you're going to go to harvest, then you're going to go out the building. You make it a circle or a linear line, depending on how it's set up, but you want to make it to where your steps are minimal between stuff, and you just got it all set up, and you keep the clean and the dirty stuff separate. You don't want to have you're harvesting on the same place that you're doing your planting if you can keep away from it. Now, in the beginning, we started same tables, but you have that clean break and you make sure everything's clean and the dirt's gone and all that stuff, everything else. But ideally, they are two separate areas, so that way your systems are set up. But setting your systems up properly and your systems up of when to plant, when to harvest, if you can get away with it, which was the best thing we ever did, because we were planting 3 days and harvesting 3 days a week when we first started. If you can get away with planting 1 day and harvesting 1 day and then delivering 1 or 2 days after, that would be your best system in my book. So you can do one thing, and then you're just delivering. I don't know about you, Andy, but what do you think about systems?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, we're nowhere near planting 1 day a week, unfortunately, because we're pushing 30 crops at this point. I think different varieties that we grow, so they're all over the map as far as growing time. So we actually plant 5 days a week, but it's really only 2 heavy days. The other days are kind of light. It's like corn and 7-day radish and crap like that kind of throws monkey wrenches into certain things.
Yeah.
But it's not too bad overall. So we have a couple heavy days, but we harvest 2 days a week. So we harvest, our heavy harvest day is Wednesday. That's all of our commercial accounts. So like restaurants, grocery stores, golf courses, caterers, distributors, things like that. And then we have a lighter harvest day on Friday. In fact, we actually are just now moving some of our grocery stores to Friday harvest and Saturday delivery, because our Thursday delivery is literally almost 12 hours at this point in the car. It's ridiculous. So we had to eliminate some of that to not have my poor delivery driver starting at 8 o'clock in the morning and getting home at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So we took out some of the grocery stores and moved them around. It's a great problem to have. Phenomenal problem to have. But the biggest thing for us, like software wise, is FarmFlow. There's things like Seedleaf out there, Microgreen Manager. You can use an Excel sheet. It's completely up to you. FarmFlow is what we wrote. We use it every single day, and it literally tells my guys exactly what needs to be planted, exactly what needs to be harvested. It has all the customers listed right there. So it's super easy. It manages the entire process from start to finish, inventory tracking, keeps track of our seeds, warns me when seeds are almost running out, all kinds of little trickery that's in there, that we use to actually keep things moving along. So it's something you can check out if you want to try it. Just go to freshsourcefarms.com and you can actually go under, I think it's for growers, and FarmFlow is listed underneath of there. Or you can just go to gofarmflow.com. That'll take you there too. But don't feel like you have to use that one. You can certainly do this in an Excel sheet. It's not the end of the world. It's just going to be a little more challenging to keep track of everything. If you're small, there really isn't any crazy reason to dump right into something like that. But if you're getting serious and you've got 15, 30 trays a week that you're planting, it might be worth getting some kind of a software investment. It literally keeps you sane.
Yes.
When you get to the level that we are, it's like, I know you guys still using Seedleaf or FarmFlow or something. I don't even know what you're at this point. I think you're using Seedleaf.
We are currently using a farm Seedleaf, but we have FarmFlow still. We were at the time that FarmFlow was coming around, we were trying to get everything set up in it and everything. Yeah. Was the time we got crazy busy.
Super slow.
And then so it was slow to process and everything else. So it was just hard. I know I've been on it recently, a month or so ago, and it is super way faster, like night and day difference, of it. So it's something that I want to get back to FarmFlow, because I do like the seed inventories, the inventory of products, all that stuff that's on there that Seedleaf does not have. But Seedleaf is a good one to start with if you are just starting out. Also, you can go up to like 10 trays or something like that for free. But Andy's program, when you're running a business, is great, because I said it does do all that inventory stuff for you. You don't have to think about it. You just put your part numbers in there and it just tells you what you need.
Yeah.
Hey, order this, dummy. Don't run out. You know, is what it should say.
Literally.
To you. Because we've ran out of products before or been very close, you know, and like, oh crap. Luckily it's not seeds or anything like that. That's generally pretty easy to keep track of. But like your packaging, your labels, the little things that you don't think about that you don't order, or you're not messing with in your hands every day, every week kind of thing, or them are the things that are going to skip your mind that can help you with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say beyond that, I mean, take advantage of technology. You know, I mean, if you're manually going in and turning your lights on and off every single day, get freaking smart plugs or smart switches or something. I mean, my God, there's no reason why you should have to be doing that. You know, and in our farm, we have the smart plugs that turn our lights on and off. We've got smart valves, you know, that we use to actually soak seeds. So we can soak up to 4 different seeds overnight anytime, that we can turn them off and off, you know, on and off anytime we want. So we just basically put all the seeds in a bucket, you know, drop the hose in, leave it open, and we go home. You know, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's soaking the peas, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's soaking the wheatgrass, and at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's soaking the sunflower or whatever automatically. So when we get there, it's literally ready to go. We don't have to do anything. You know, so things like that, take advantage of smart technologies. You know, and we even have like routines in there and stuff to where when we arm our alarm system, for example, the lights stay on for an additional minute after everybody leaves. So that way, if anybody were outside or whatever, you can run back in quickly. The lights are still on. Everybody can see what's going on. Or they may think there's somebody else inside waiting to come out because the lights haven't shut off yet. So it's just an added little security thing. Just in case. I mean, little stupid things like that you can do to help. And, you know, we've got cameras all throughout our farm as well. So, for example, I had to add 4 more racks the other day, and I had to move some smart switches around, or smart plugs anyway, and they were brand new. So I'd never used them before. I set up the schedule in there and said, hey, turn on at this time and turn off at that time. And I just happened to go on and check the cameras later that evening, and one of the smart switches didn't shut off. So remotely from a half-hour drive away, I was able to go bloop and turn that light off, and the whole entire rack system shut off. So, you know, it's nice to have that technology available, especially if you're like on vacation or you're away and you've got somebody that you're relying on to actually do the work for you. You know, you can make sure that they're doing everything correctly and all that fun stuff. It's not the end of the world to have cameras, but it does help especially if you're remote. You know, if you have like your farm is located at another person's house or another, you know, location or whatever, that does come in super handy to be able to see what's actually going on in your farm. So, you know, if we lose power or something like that, you know, I can pull it up and see. So it's just little things like that can make your life so much easier, having the smart technologies, you know, and all that stuff's out there. I mean, it's not hard to find those things, and they're really easy to set up at this point. So,
and they're cheap,
not complicated. Take advantage of that.
They don't cost much for the peace of mind. And even if you're in your house growing, if you're in your basement, your garage, spare room, whatever else, the first thing system wise, like Andy said, I would recommend is the smart plugs, like Andy said.
Yeah.
Because that's just going to save you the headache of going and flipping them off. Even if I'm going to bed, I got to turn my lights on or I got to turn them off. You know, it just gets annoying after a while, right? You know, even if it's just the little things like that, you know, I would highly, highly recommend. And we started with them things right away. Was the smart plugs.
We did too.
And they're cheap. They're not very expensive. So highly recommend.
Yeah, I mean, we get the 4-pack of I think it's Govee, I believe, little smart plugs. They're great. I mean, there's nothing fancy. You know, just plug them in, you're good to go. So it's super simple. Super simple. And they'll support up to about maybe 6 to 8 racks if you've got 2 lights per shelf. We've found 2 T5 lights anyway. Yeah, T5. They do get a little warm once you start getting past 8. So just try and keep them, you know, at least reasonably normal, but it's not too bad. But they're cheap enough. I mean, if one blows, it's like $2 or $3 for that plug. It's super inexpensive when it boils down to it. So definitely give them a try.
For sure. All right. So make sure you have your systems in place. It's one thing we can highly recommend. And if you need help, reach out to either one of us. We will be willing to help you. Obviously, I have a free group. You can join that and ask questions in there directly to me or in the community as well. So get your systems in place and make your life a lot easier.
Yeah. Oh, and on top, I want to add one more thing, if you don't mind. When you were talking about steps and everything. So when we set up our space, we tried to think, what path is the tray going to take from start to finish? You know, from being washed to going on the shelf where it's clean, to going to the planting section, to going to germination, to going to harvest, you know, so really think through that process. I mean, we can be literally at the farm from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night on a Wednesday. And I get home and I'm like, how the hell do I have less than 2,000 steps? After being on my feet all day long. But it's
Yep.
because we're trying to minimize the amount of time we actually have to spend moving, to go get stuff, to take something somewhere where it's unnecessary. So try and really lay out your setup. I mean, it's similar to like chefs in a kitchen. They put everything within reach as best they can. We try and make it simple for everybody that works for us. So same idea. Just really lay it out where it makes sense. If you have the opportunity to do that,
Yep.
if your space is really limited and you kind of only can set it up one way, then so be it. But really think it through. I know Joe Naaman Sessions at one point, maybe 2 years ago, redesigned his entire layout, and it made a world of difference, just in this one little room he had that he was running it out of. So, it's crazy how much time efficiency you can save by doing that, because time is money, especially when it comes to this business.
Yeah. And the more time you can save doing your business, the more time you can spend with your family, doing whatever else you love to do. So yes,
Yep.
Time is always good to save. All right. So just to let you guys know kind of what you can expect from this Thumbcast. If you are been here before with us and was at the beginning, thank you for being back. We highly appreciate you guys being back. If you're new and you've never seen us before, welcome to the Microgreen Thumbcast. Myself, Andy, my Mike and Andy and Jess is in the back doing the producing stuff. So you see all the fancy stuff going on. But what you can expect from us, we are going to be doing this bi-weekly. That gives us both time to do our business, enjoy our lives, but still be able to get out here and give you guys information and everything else, doing a bi-weekly one instead of a weekly one like we used to do, that we did for over 2 years, almost 2 years, I guess, on that.
It's about
that. But so bi-weekly, so we'll be here and we'll be able to do that for you guys. We want to give you real conversations. So we want you to be part of that conversation. So in the comments, in the chat, ask questions so we can interact with you guys and help you out with wherever you're at and everything like that. So we're going to be real. We're going to give you actual useful information. I don't plan on holding anything back. I don't know about Andy, but I'm assuming he won't be either. I won't speak for him, but
no, if anybody's ever talked to me before, I'm not going to BS you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're going to make $10,000 a week in the first 2 months of growing microgreens. It's unless you're the most incredible salesperson on the face of the earth and you get incredibly lucky and you've got this basement that's already finished that's 3,000 plus square feet. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
you can get there, which is cool.
Yep. And if something's not working that we're doing, we'll let you guys know what flops, what doesn't go, what's good, what's not bad. We'll let you know. This podcast is designed more than just the growing, more than that. It's more about the business side of it and actually growing a profitable business, going from hobbyist to an actual business to full-time, taking your stuff to full-time. We want the best and more full-time microgreen growers locally in their local area, because that's just going to, like I said before, it's just going to help everybody out. So we'll be talking pricing, packaging, customer outreach, how to follow up with grocery stores, restaurants, how to get into them, how to handle farmers markets, all the gamut, what actually works, because we've both done it all, from farmers markets to home deliveries to grocery stores, restaurants, all the gamut, to distributors, to food banks. We pretty much both have done it all. So, and if there's something I haven't done, Andy's probably done it. Andy has done it. I've probably done it. Or we know somebody who has, so we can ask them, right?
Yeah. That's a nice thing too. We know all the major players for the most part. We're friends with almost all of them in some fashion, so definitely helps. And don't get, I want to say that too, is like Mike and I learn every day. I mean, literally every day. I've learned from brand new growers, literally brand spanking new people that were like, oh, I tried to do this particular crop this way, and these are the results I got. And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. Never thought to try it that way. And then we try it and we're like, wow, that's great. So it's not a matter of like us knowing every single thing. And we're never going to admit that because it's not the truth, but we're damn good at what we do. And we've been doing this for a long time. And we know we've learned a lot through trial and error and education and, things like that we've gone through. So, I don't want you guys to think that we're like standing up on top of this castle looking down at you all going, oh, look at these little peons down here trying to grow their microgreen business. That's not the case. We were there and it wasn't that long ago. So, we've just gotten really lucky and we've done a great job of what we do. And we want to help you guys get there too. That's really the goal.
I'm going to correct you there, Andy. We did not get lucky. We both worked hard. We've all worked hard to get where we're at. we put the work in. We got there. We took the risks. Andy took the risk of even opening up a storefront at one point that he had,
Yeah.
which is a big risk, you know. So we've taken the risk to go into a warehouse and paying all that stuff and everything else. All that extra cost adds up. So
Yeah.
there's always luck a little bit of luck involved in everything, but luck isn't just you just sit back and do nothing and somebody just hands you a whole bunch of money. You actually have to put the work in and do the job and everything else. So the luck is a hard word to use because I think we work too hard to use that word. So but yes, there's some luck involved in anything and being in the right place at the right time, more so.
Yeah. And I would say it's a combination. And I only say that because I know we have definitely gotten lucky on certain things. We had the first email blast we had sent out in probably, God, well over a year. We sent out about 3 or 4 months ago. And the only bounce back response I got was from a food bank. And I reached out to that food bank, and that food bank became a client. So if that never had bounced back, I wouldn't even have known that food bank even existed. So it's kind of like those little things happen to just come across every once in a while. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we definitely bust our butts. I mean, that's partially why we had to stop doing this a year ago because, you know, Mike's business just went insane. You guys, I think it was like, what, 1,200 packs a week or something? You gained like almost overnight. It was crazy, if I remember right.
Oh.
It was either 1,200 or 2,400. It was some massive number, but yeah, I mean, they got to the point where they just couldn't keep up. So
it was 90 cases at 30 per case at one point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot.
2,700.
Yeah, 2,700 packages just to that one customer.
Yeah, so that's why we had to stop.
It was a
great problem to have. So we apologize for having to stop the the Thumbcast back then, but Mike and Jess were pulling their hair out, trying to, well, you know,
mine went long
pulling his beard
that.
out there anyway.
So it was a crazy time. It was but it was a good time. I'll never turn that down. We figured out how to do it and get it done, and we had to get a refrigerated box truck, rented it for a while until we could afford to go out and find a van that was refrigerated.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're not easy to find used refrigerated vans. Would help us make sure we could load a pallet in and deliver it. We could fit 3 pallets in that van still if we need to. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's been where we been doing. So
yeah,
but we want to be here to help you guys solve real problems. You know, that's why we're back. I have a school community. Well, I actually have 2 school communities, both focused on microgreens. Andy's part of another group on school as well, helping you guys out there as well. So you can check either one of them out. I'm sure they're in our descriptions and everything else. And Jessa posted them up there. Andy can post his in there and everything as well.
Comments.
Check them out if you're ever interested diving into learning more and getting more one-on-one-ish coaching, one-on-a-few coaching, I guess. This is more of one-on-many. But if you want one-on-few, that's there. And there also is some, for my community anyway, there are some one-on-one opportunities as well to pay for as well if you're interested in that. But we want to help you guys here for free on YouTube as much as we can and help you do that and everything else with this podcast episode. We want to be here and have somebody come on here and say, hey, because of your podcast, I hit my first $1,000 this month in microgreen sales. I've hit my first 1,000 this week. You know, we want to hear them stories. That fuels us more to do stuff. Or even I made my first sell. You know, we want to hear that too, because that's important. Because you can't get $1,000 a week if you don't do one. So the first sell is important as well. Probably more important.
And that's literally why every single week in my Microgreens Entrepreneurs Facebook group, I have, what are the weekly wins? What did you do this past week that you felt great about? And it can be the stupidest, smallest thing, but it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're growing amaranth for the first time and you've been growing it for 3 months and all the trays have sucked and all of a sudden you figured it out and you got 1 tray right, that's a win. You know, it doesn't have to be a financial win. That's what a lot of people look at it as, you know, every little tiny step is a step in the right direction. You're either learning or you're winning is basically what it boils down to. So, you know, definitely keep those wins in the front of you and always think back to where you started too. You know, it's a big piece of it too. I mean, for us, like we still do residential delivery, even though we don't make much money off of it because that's where we started and people helped us get here, you know? So yeah, it's a annoying little thing to deal with, but at the same time, we have a lot of people that rely on our stuff for their health issues,
Yep.
which is great. So I'm not going to take that away from them unless I can find somebody that I feel really good about that's local that can take over that piece of it. So that's kind of one of those things that we always have hung on to, whether we should or not, business wise. That's another question. But
Speaking of that, we did find
Yeah.
somebody to take over our home deliveries. It's another farmer
Oh,
who's
nice.
doing aggregating and stuff like that. So all our home deliveries were
cool.
turned over to them. And they've actually done other business of stuff we don't reach that they do for us as well. So it's been a great
Nice.
partnership with them. So yeah, they reach stuff we can't reach, and they do all home deliveries because they already are doing home deliveries. That's part of their model. So we were happy to let that part go to somebody else to delivering them. But the customers are still getting the products, right? So that's the main part that we're doing there.
Yeah.
But with doing as much commercial stuff we do, it was getting very annoying, as Andy kind of hinted at, to go and drop $20 off to somebody when you can go to one place and do $300, $500, $600
Yeah.
dropping off. So it's like, is this taking too much time? And you have to do that as a business, right? You have to evaluate where your time is best spent, and if you should still be doing this part of the business or not, and everything else. So definitely you have to do that as a business. Growing a crop right now, honestly, we are evaluating sunflowers. Should we continue doing sunflowers as a business?
Yeah.
It takes us about 30 minutes a tray with two of us to do and sort all
Yep.
these seeds out and everything else, because we don't want any seeds in the product. Please don't put seeds in your sunflowers. So we
please don't.
make sure we get 99% out. I ain't gonna say I'm 100%, but 99% of them seeds out. So is that time well spent in our business? So that's something we're evaluating right now. As we do, as the business evolves, right? You got to keep evaluating where you're at. And if this is something you should do, should you change it? What do you need to do to make it work? If you can make it work, if not, should you stop it? I'm sure you do that occasionally as well.
Yeah. I mean, I every single week I'm like, why do I keep growing sunflower?
I'm with you.
I mean, the nice thing is like we tend to pick them ahead of time, so harvest day makes it a little bit faster, but it's just
Still
a
got that
freaking
time to
pain in
pick
the
'em.
ass. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. It's still we're paying somebody to pick them, and I'm usually the one that ends up doing sunflower every Wednesday to take that off of my guys' plates, because that way they can just bang out all the broccoli that we've got and spicy salad mix that we've got and a million other things that we do a ton of. So it's kind of a nice trade-off from that standpoint. I don't mind doing it, honestly, but it does take a lot of freaking time. I mean, and cantaloupe to a certain extent, it's not as bad, nowhere near. I mean, but you still got to kind of search through it. Beets, to a certain extent is the same thing. You still got seed hulls stuck on there. It doesn't matter how hard you try, what methods you come up with. I mean, they're always going to still have some there, and that's probably, I would say, almost worse than sunflower for leaving your seeds behind, because the seeds on beets are rock hard. Yeah,
tooth will be gone.
Keep all your teeth. Yep. So yeah, there's definitely some crops that I absolutely hate, and we have made adjustments based on that. Like an initial mix that we had created for restaurants had beets in it, and we ended up swapping it out for amaranth because amaranth is so much easier. Yes, you get less yields, but there's zero time spent, pulling out all the stupid seed hulls and stuff. So there's kind of that trade-off that you have to figure out what you want to do. So most of our mixes are things that are easy to grow. So that way we're not, having to deal with any kind of, because especially when you've got like a major restaurant mix that you're doing, you don't want to, if you're growing that for a lot of restaurants, the last thing you want to do is have one of the 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever pieces of your mix end up all dying.
Yeah.
So luckily we've gotten really good at amaranth, thank God. And as a result, we're able to switch it out with the beets that we were putting in there. So yeah, that's been a life-changing thing from that. But yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. I mean, there's, and something you have to think about. And the funny thing is, we took, when we first started, we had our bottom 3 sellers, hands down, kohlrabi, kale, and cabbage, hands down, by themselves, and they were our bottom 3 by leaps and bounds. So we decided to mix the 3 together. So we mix all the seeds together, and now we've got a mix of kohlrabi, cabbage, and kale that we call a brassica blend, and it's in our top 3 or 4 sellers. So even taking junk basically and turning it into a mix can be just enough. I mean, I know you guys from a grocery store standpoint, that's a majority of what you guys sell is mixes, which is awesome. People love mixes. So if you're looking to create some new product, I mean, you don't have to learn how to grow anything extra, just mix the stuff together, and it's like unlimited. I mean, if you're growing 20 something products, you can create 400 mixes in no time. Yeah. So, it's really just a matter of how creative you want to get with it. And outside of like cantaloupe and maybe corn, and like herbs and stuff, obviously, you can mix almost anything together. It's going to taste good. It doesn't matter. You put sunflower and broccoli and radish and, kale and cabbage and kohlrabi and a million other things. It's all going to be fine.
Yep.
But then we start throwing in kind of the oddball stuff, the sweeter stuff or the herbs. And that's where it can get a little bit weird, but that's just something you taste at that point and try it, see if it works out. But
please taste your mixes
really
before you sell them.
Yeah. Because I know a majority of what you guys do is mixes, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, our majority of our sales are mixes in grocery stores. It seems to go better. Obviously broccoli still sells well. But all the mixes are the ones that really go. Broccoli is obviously always going to be one of the top sellers. That's what everybody knows. It's the most studies done on. Everybody should be eating their broccoli. Might save your life. But definitely the mixes in the grocery stores.
Yep. Yeah, residential and grocery stores for sure. And come up with that fancy restaurant mix. I mean, it doesn't hurt, only because the giant company in California sells, a mix that they make that's very basic. And if you can come up with a version that's similar to that or has similar look to it, which you'll often see it when you go into a restaurant, the cheaper mix that they basically make in this Californian place. That's an easy replacement, and that can get you in the door with almost any restaurant because the mix is gorgeous. They can put it on anything. That's really the goal, is just to give them something they can buy pounds of, and they can just go plop on every single plate that goes out the door. Doesn't matter. They don't have to spend time with it, or figure out what matches and what tastes well together and all that stuff. If all they care about is visual, it's a piece of cake, to create a really easy mix. Ours is literally in an 8-ounce mix, it's 3.5 ounces of broccoli, 3.5 ounces of rainbow radish, and 1 single ounce of amaranth. And honestly, you can get away with like half an ounce of amaranth or 0.25 ounces of amaranth, just having that little bit mixed in. And you can swap that out with beets or chard or, whatever, just to give it that crimson red. It's a super basic mix. Radish is super easy to grow. Broccoli is super easy to grow. Amaranth and beets are a little bit more advanced, but, you can figure them out. I mean, honestly, I'm going to give you guys major props because your beets video changed the microgreens world, when it comes to beets. So if you haven't watched that beets video on Itty Bitty Micro Farms YouTube page, go out there and watch that. It literally taught us how to grow beets too, because we sucked at it for the longest time. So, it's definitely one of as far from an advanced crop learning video, one of the best ones out there. So if you haven't watched that video yet, please go watch that. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. We would still be hating life growing beets, and we probably would have stopped growing them by now. Otherwise,
I'm out with sunflowers.
Yeah. And a lot of that same technique transforms into chard as well. So if you prefer to do chard, which is a little bit easier, go down that road. There's rainbow chard, there's regular red chard, there's all kinds of different ones. So you can use that same technique for the most part. I mean, the seeds, you wouldn't, if you're holding the 2 seeds next to each other, you wouldn't even know the difference, honestly. They're so similar. So, but that
they grow
video
exactly
is amazing. So if you haven't watched it yet, check it out.
Yep. Yeah, great video out there. Glad we finally were able to get that out there. That was a long one in process, having things filmed and just never getting it out there. But we were happy to get that out there. So again, guys, this podcast, it's here for no hype. It's not get rich with microgreens garbage you see out there. We're going to tell you the real stuff, the real hype, the real thing behind it. No hype. We want to hear your wins. We want to hear your mistakes. We want to hear what's testing great in your farm. On my YouTube channel, the Itty Bitty Micro Farm YouTube channel, there is a community area now that you can actually go in there and make your own post on, and then people can comment on it. You can share your pictures on there, all that stuff. So check out that community. If you got any questions in the meantime, if you're not part of one of our school groups, go in that community post and make a post about something. If you got a question throughout the week or the 2 weeks that you have, we can answer it in there. We can help you out. And then also we can use that for the podcast and help other people out. They may not see that, because if you're having that problem, somebody else is having that problem, we can help each other out. So again, no fluff, no everything else. We're here to teach you the real rules of stuff, real answers, practical strategies, and a community that actually is doing something and working for you. That's what this podcast is for. It's for you if you're looking to grow your microgreen business in the future. We thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you in the next one. And now on to Q&A. If we got any. So don't leave.
It seems like a weird cut, but I know they don't post the Q&A in the YouTube at the end. So that's why I said see you in the next one, just to get used to that in the future if this is your first time.
we want to keep the Q&A for people that are showing up here live.
Yeah.
So that's why we do eventually we do cut that off at the end. So that way people can still see the podcast, obviously, but the Q&A is for live people.
Yep. So in the comments, go ahead and post your wins, post your mistakes, post your questions, whatever you got. We'd love to hear all of it.
Do we have anything, producer extraordinaire? Oh, there is one, I think.
I'm just waiting to hear Jess's voice.
I know. No voice? Hello? I can't hear her. I think she's trying to talk, but I don't hear her. All right. So I will do that, I guess. Producer.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are.
Hey.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Welcome. All right. So I do have one question I saw from Janth. What do you think the market is in India?
Well, people eat in India, right? So there's a market for it.
Yeah, I know it's definitely, I've seen it at least in our actual Facebook groups that we run. There's a lot of people that are starting in India, especially I would say in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
So the market I think is growing. I think it's a matter of how much competition you may run into already, depending where you're located. But I mean, honestly, like all the techniques and stuff that we've talked about should translate to anywhere in the world when it boils down to it. So figure out what your inputs are, figure out your pricing, kind of do some research, see if there's other local competition around you. That would be a good place to start. Because I've also seen from the India market a lot of like fluff and weird just videos that don't make sense, posts that don't make sense, things like that it's kind of like, why are they posting that? It's not even really like a sales thing as much as just more of like a thing trying to generate views, if that makes sense. So, I think if you can kind of separate yourself from that and really focus on being that local grower and, kind of, and I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe that's how marketing works in India. I have no clue, but, from a standpoint of kind of looking at what some of the folks have posted, it seems a little off target, if that makes sense. So yeah, definitely check out, see what local competition you've got, figure out what their pricing looks like. That would at least give you a place to start, and see if your inputs and their pricing are going to work out for you. Because obviously, if your pricing comes out to be $5-6 or whatever, I don't know what the Indian translation of that would be, but and somebody's selling it already for $2 or $3 and they've got the market pretty much flooded, it's probably not worth trying. Unless that place goes out of business, which they eventually would, because their inputs would be about the same as yours. So
yeah,
but it'd be tough to get started right away. So I think it's booming in India. I think it's growing quickly. So I mean, I think it's just a matter of kind of doing some research around your area, and hopefully that helps. You got any input, Mike, on that?
Yeah, I definitely would start growing. Start growing some trays, start eating them yourself, start giving out samples to your local people, to friends, families, making sure they like it, what they get their critique back, and start marketing yourself. Get yourself a website, a Facebook group, whatever you need to do in your area that's works great for some free marketing, and put it out there that you're growing microgreens. If you're interested, get a hold of me. Use as much free marketing as you can when you first start, and making sure your area is wanting what you're growing, and just put out there what you're doing. You're growing microgreens and they're for sale. If you want any, reach out to me. It's simple as that with your beginning marketing. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. And I would say one thing on top of that is just to make sure you've got a good supply line for stuff, seeds, trays, all the things that you're going to need to get. Make sure you find reputable businesses in or around India, somebody that can ship to you, to make sure you've actually got access to that kind of stuff. Because I know in other countries, it's tougher for people to get certain things. Like we have Bootstrap Farmer here in the U.S. I don't know how far they ship outside of the U.S., but I don't believe they'd even do it all.
Oh, they'll ship.
Okay.
You're going to pay.
Yeah, it's going to cost you a freaking fortune.
So
I mean, if you want really good trays, do some research, try and make sure. But that's the biggest thing, to make sure you're not going to start and then your seed supplier is going to be struggling to keep up, with what you may need. So just make sure you got a good, lineup of suppliers that you can get stuff from. I'd say that's probably pretty important too, being where you are.
Yeah. We have a student in Netherlands, and it costs them like $1 more. Like the trays would cost $5. It costs $6 per tray to ship them. So it's $11 per tray to get Bootstrap over there. And I even know like Canada, they pay a lot for shipping. There's one grower up there that I know that he actually orders them by the pallet when he needs them. He waits till he needs a pallet to get them, because it's more cost effective to get the pallet than it is to get 10 boxes of it. It costs you more to get 10 boxes than it would cost you to get a pallet. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you get a
And
pallet,
buy
you
the
can
pallet. If
actually
you
get
need a
pallet
pallet, that's the
pricing.
way to go.
And thanks to Andy
Yeah,
for
we saved a
reminding me that
fortune
about a
on the
year ago,
Yep.
year and a half ago, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Got another question. Dan, or DeSanto Farms. Sorry, Dan. What's
We
the
know
best
Dan.
way to set up for home delivery to start?
To set up like how to do the home deliveries or how to get them. I don't know if maybe I'm not clear on that, Jess. I don't know. Am I
I'm
to set
gonna
up?
assume it would be like the process of ordering and organizing deliveries.
Yeah, that's what I would assume too.
Okay. Well, if you're going to organize your deliveries, if you're advertising on Facebook or whatever else, you can do a radius kind of thing. You want to make sure you're only advertising to them people. And two, if anybody's within outside that area until you're ready to expand to that, I would tell them that you'd put them on a wait list and that. And you want to keep that initial home deliveries kind of tight and make sure you try to get some people around that. And then you would route it to where you would start and then finish back at your place, right? So you do a loop, more so a circle. You don't want to do like this and then in 20 miles away and then drive all the way back for nothing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like one of the nice things, I don't want to keep pushing farm flow, but you can actually order your deliveries, which is so nice. So when you go to your harvest to-do list or whatever, you literally click one button and it brings it up on Google Maps and it's got everybody in the exact order that you want them to be in, which is so nice. And then you can just send it to your phone, get on your route and go, or send it to somebody else's phone if you got a driver or whatever. But yeah, I would say from a billing standpoint for home deliveries as well, you want to get them on recurring invoices as best you can. Because that's really how you make your money in this business is ongoing recurring payments every single week or every other week. However they, whatever you decide you want to do. If you only want to give them the option to do weekly, that's great. For delivery, oftentimes we give people a bi-weekly option only because the stuff lasts for 2 weeks and there's no reason why they should have to pay delivery every single week when they've still got product that works okay. So it kind of helps save a little bit. And that's another thing too. You got to really think like, do I want to charge for delivery or do I want to just eat that cost and, make that delivery without paying for having them pay for me to go there? So I'd say at minimum, at least charge a delivery fee that's going to cover your gas costs and treat that as if you were driving directly to their house and directly back to your house. Doesn't matter if they're on a route that you've already got going on. Picture it as if you were to drive to their house and back. How much would it cost in gas? And at least make that at minimum, a delivery fee. If you think about how much people are paying for Uber Eats and, all the different delivery services that are out there, you buy a $10 meal from McDonald's or whatever, and it costs you $15 to have it brought to you. It's insane. So if you can charge less than those guys, then they'll be like, oh, that's not that bad. So but it's just some things to think about. But from billing, you can use QuickBooks Online for recurring invoices. You can use Square for recurring invoices. Once you get it set up, the idea would be to kind of push them to set up a credit card payment automatically or an ACH debit automatically or whatever. And then that way it's just getting taken care of week after week, and then from there, the most important thing is then getting some kind of system in place, like we talked about earlier, to make sure that you're planting that stuff when it's supposed to be planted and you're harvesting it when it's supposed to be harvested. So coming back to systems, man, if you want to really have a successful home delivery business, that's key. And that's the same for any of them. I mean, grocery stores, restaurants, they're probably even more important because you come up short on an order for a restaurant, that could be a big problem for you, because they're potentially putting your name and your microgreens on their menu for that weekly special, and all of a sudden it doesn't show up, then they look like a fool, you look like a fool, so, and it's a great way to earn a bad reputation. So, that's really why systems are so important to have, and again, whether that's Seed Leaf, Farm Flow, Microgreens Manager, Excel sheet, something that you've got to get that's just perfect all the time. Yep. So definitely very important.
And so
hopefully that answered your question, Dan.
Yeah. And speaking of them systems, in both them systems that we've mentioned, Seed Leaf and Farm Flow, I know for sure on both of them, you can put it on bumper of like 10%, 20% on the trays.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend a minimum of 10% bumper for restaurant crops. You want to make sure that your restaurant crops you have. So you have that extra bumper. It may make you make an extra tray, but it's better to have an extra tray that's going to cost you a couple bucks than not deliver the product, right? So if that little bit of that crop fails and you need to get in that second one, it's much better to have that one, especially in the beginning of dealing with the restaurant. If you are a year in and then you're like, hey, I only have 6 ounces, I didn't quite get 8 ounces out of that a product for you, I'm sorry to be a little short, they're probably going to forgive you. But if you do that the first delivery, you're probably not delivering again. So make sure you have that bumper in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dan mentioned that he just
I
does
think
the $20
if I remember right, in
minimum.
Farm Flow, you can set a global buffer. So where it's basically saying, always make me plant 15% more or whatever you choose to put in.
Yep.
And it's a percentage you can set to whatever you want. And then at each individual crop, when you're actually, like Mike said, if you're growing something for a restaurant, it's a pretty delicate crop and you're kind of hit or miss on it, you can add that buffer percentage just for that one specific crop for that one specific restaurant. That's all programmed in as well. So it just, we have ours globally set to 15%. And that's just how we have ours set up. So that way, no matter what, we're planting 15% extra of everything that we need just to be safe. And oftentimes that can translate into having samples that we can take to restaurants, or if somebody calls me at the last minute and say, hey, I need 2 pounds of sunflower this week, can you make that happen? I can look in Farm Flow and see exactly how much I'm going to have left based on my current harvest weights. So it makes it super nice to where I can, say, yep, I should have 10 ounces left this week. I can give you 8, or I should have 25 ounces less this week or left this week. I can give you a pound, or whatever, and kind of go from there. So it's nice having those systems in place. They save your life on numerous occasions.
For sure.
Definitely worth investing the money and the time into, for sure.
Yeah, Dan,
and he said he's got a minimum $20 in order for him. Yeah, which is good. So yeah, that'll at least help cover your delivery fees for sure.
Yep.
Looks like Stock Photo Supermodel wants to know for growing mediums, what is the best mix? Looking for a make your own mix. Are amendments needed? Is fine sift perlite beneficial or necessary? Tried to use cocoa only, but found micros barely growing and so hard to dial in moisture.
Yep.
You're right on that.
So do you guys, either of you, recommend a pre-mix or mixing your own?
I personally recommend finding a pre-mixed one that is done for you. You're never going to mix it perfectly by yourself. This bag's going to be a little bit different than this bag, right? It's just the big boys got it down, right? For me personally, I recommend, if you're just starting out, you're not worried about organic certification, and you're just starting out and you're trying to get this going, a Pro Mix BX would be a great one to start with. You may need to add some Gaia Green in it just to give it a little boost, but it doesn't really necessarily need it for you when you're starting out. And then Coco Loco, great product, recommend them. And we are currently using Costa Maine Seed Starter, awesome product, and it is organic certified.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree with all that. We tried the Promix MP Organic at one point and did not care for it at all. And that was, at the time, the best organic soil they had for microgreens, and it was really garbage. And we had been using Fox Farm Coco Loco for probably about 4 years. And Mike discovered the Coast of Maine Sprout Island blend, and so we ended up getting some bags and we tested it out. And oh my God, it's OMRI rated organic. They have a money back guarantee on their bag. Again, I did a hour-plus long video on comparing the two, going through every single crop we grow, showing the results, showing the root structure, showing everything we could, even down to seed hulls, believe it or not. We found there was far less seed hulls on cantaloupe, for example, from one to the other, which is insane, but it translated to that every time. So little things like that. But yeah, think about it from a long-term standpoint, right? The only way Mike and I would be able to, at production level, have a soil mix is we would have to buy a very expensive soil mixing machine that we'd have to spend time dumping massive amounts of soil into, letting it all completely mix up. It's a whole hell of a lot easier to grab a bag off of a pallet, cut it open, dump it into a soil machine or dump it into a bucket or whatever, and run it that way. It's ideal. So I would say number 1, number 2, hands down, Coast of Maine Sprout Island blend and Fox Farm Coco Loco. We've tried a lot. I'm sure you guys have too. And with both of those two, you do not need amendments. We don't use any Gaia Greens or anything like that. If you have to use any amendment, Gaia Green 444 is awesome. We've never personally used it. I know you guys have. I know Robert Meredith has. And you guys all recommend it highly, so I trust you guys' judgment. But we have never once, other than growing in Coco Coir, which is what you also experienced based on what you mentioned. If you don't add any amendments to Coco Coir, you might as well not even bother because it has zero nutrient value. So your microgreens are going to get like this tall in 2 weeks, where they could be this tall if you added actual nutrition to them. So, at that point, you want to use Gaia Green or like Ocean Solution or some kind of fertilizer that's out there to be able to get those up and running. So yeah, Coco Coir by itself you can't do it without it.
Yeah, and then that's just more work too on top of that cocoa. If you're just using the inert cocoa, there's more work involved in that because you're going to have to do that throughout the growing cycle, add that ocean solution to it, or that fertilizer is going to have to continue. Even if it's only a 7-day on the shelf, 10-day grow, whatever, you're going to have to add it every other day at minimum to get it to grow.
Yeah.
So yeah, just get a good mix. And I will give all the credit. I did not find Costa Maine seed starter. That was DeSantos Farms that is actually on here right now.
Oh,
nice. He's the one that told me about
Dan,
it.
You're the man.
He's the one that told me about it. I tried it and I was like, we're never looking back. Because that stuff was awesome.
I remember you guys had like an entire rack of extra greens that you had left over because you're like, well, shit, everything grew like crazy more than normal.
Our broccoli, we were getting 9 to 10 ounces out of it with ProMix BX with its Gaia Green added to it. The Coco Loco, we were getting 10, 11, 12 on a good grow. We get 14 to 15 ounces on broccoli now.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just by changing the soil, nothing else.
Yep.
So if anybody tells you that the growing medium doesn't matter with microgreens, stop listening to that person immediately because they don't know what they're talking about.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, we've switched entirely to Costa Maine Sprout Island blend for sure. It's a little I would say when you have higher humidity in the air, it's a little bit tougher. Especially with like the weird crops like amaranth and beets and stuff like that. But we found ways to manage that. And there's so many different things you can do to help make those adjustments. But yeah, that's the only thing we've ran into here and there. And it's really mainly because we've switched to it almost completely overnight. And then the humidity levels were super high because it rained here for almost every freaking day for like a month and a half, 2 months straight. So our poor dehumidifiers were struggling to keep up. We got large Marge, and then we got one just like what you guys have at the pump. I just got that one maybe a month ago. And so now we've got 16,500 square feet worth of dehumidifiers dehumidifying a 4,000 square foot room. That's how much humidity is in the air when you get 30, 40 racks worth of crops growing at the same time. It's insane.
Yeah, you got to have about 4 to 5 times. 4 to 5 times the space, right? Of whatever it says.
Yeah,
if you're doing 4,000 square feet, you need 16 to 20,000 worth of dehumidifying going on.
Yep, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Follow up on that question was, how do you deal with the soil after growing? From what I understand, reusing isn't recommended. It is
not in microgreens.
Yeah, not indoors. I mean, you can take it outside if you've got a garden outdoors. You can compost it. We work with chicken farmers. We work with other local farmers that they basically just come and take it. And the system we've used, which we found works great, is we tell them to bring their own bins. And they leave them outside, and we fill them when we're done, and then they can come and pick them up anytime they want. So we don't have to worry about being there. We don't have to worry about dealing with that. They're just out back behind our building, and they pull up and they back up their truck. They load all of them into another bin inside of their truck, and then they leave us the empty bins, and we refill them. And that has been a godsend.
Nice.
So you're not spending time driving the soil to somebody's house or whatever. Of course, you can try and sell it. You maybe get $1 a tray or 50 cents a tray or something like that.
Just give it away.
Care. I mean, we're just giving it away. We're just giving it away. It's so much dirt going out the door every week. It's not worth trying to find somebody to buy it. I'd rather just get rid of it and know that it got reused. So that's how we deal with ours.
Yep.
Simple.
Give away as much
just
as you can.
Chickens.
Yep. Chickens, our chickens, other people's chickens.
Yeah.
We compost it. So there's many ways. Just don't reuse it indoors.
No. Unless you want to get caught by the health department.
Royce is on tonight, and he asks, each of you have taken a different path regarding lighting per shelf and distance. Please explain your respective decision and what benefit you have experienced.
Well, we use both ways. So for our basil grow, we use the T5s, 2 lights, shorter shelves, six, just like Andy does build his racks. That's what we use for our basil. Works great for basil. If I didn't have as much space as we have and we needed to grow more, I probably would move into Andy's realm. But I already have all the T8 lights that we have, and we have the shelf distance and everything like that. So there's no reason to change all that. In my view, either way works. It's just basil. We grow so much of it, we needed more rack space. And in basil, just seems to grow better with having more light spread, closer lights, because that crop doesn't get as big. So that's why we switched to that. But in my view, you can do either way. Either way works. If you're limited on space, definitely 2 T5s and get 6 shelves per rack of use. So 7 shelves on the rack, like Andy does. So you get 24 versus 20, what we do. But again, it's tight on space. Definitely do that away.
Yeah, and it's not really a matter of like us having different opinions on it. It's literally how it works. I mean, if you're going to use T5s, you can use up to 3 per shelf, maybe 9 inches of spacing between the bottom of this shelf and the top of this shelf. So we literally space our shelves at 10 inches. So from the top of here to the top of this one, it's exactly 10 inches. And I did a video on my YouTube channel as well. It's by far the most popular video I've ever posted, where I showed kind of how we set up our racks. And when you're using a T8, you can't have it that close, because the light has to have the ability to actually be able to spread across the entire tray. So they have to be, what do you guys keep yours at? About 11 inches, 10, 11, 12 inches?
11.
Yeah. So it has to be further away. We have 0 T8s other than the flowers that we do. And that's it. And even those, we have 3 T8s per shelf, which is ridiculous. But the flowers love the light. So that's really why we go down that road. But it's also just like Mike said. I mean, we've been doing this for so long. I have a million T5s, that are just sitting around waiting to be added to shelves. So it's like, if I can get 6 full working, shelves per rack, it just makes sense, no matter how big your space is. I mean, especially when you're smaller, the T5s, they're super cheap. They work great. They take up less electric, obviously. There's less heat produced by them as well versus a T8, so it's definitely, that's the way to go if you are in a space constraint. If you're not in a space constraint and you've got unlimited money that you want to spend on lighting, get the pink-ish T8 lights.
Yes.
They have a little bit of a pink hue to them. They're not the super blurple ones like you've got actually on behind me. That's what that, what side am I on here? That little shine that's coming off. There's some behind me on the floor that shines up. I get this cool purple effect. Because I bought these, I never used them. So they just sit here and act like some backlighting to my setup. But, those are beyond what you need. I mean, for microgreens, they're way beyond what you need. The pink-ish ones, though, Joe Naaman Sessions, if you follow him on YouTube, I can't remember, I think it's NBARS Microgreens, the letter NBARS Microgreens. He's got 3 great videos, or 2 or 3 great videos he did on lighting. And it kind of covered the difference between the T5s, the T8s, and he goes over the pinkish lights. You get more reds in your reds. So your red acre cabbage is going to be redder or purpler. Your purple kohlrabi is going to be the same. Your Rambo radish is going to be the same. That's really the benefit to using the pinkish, but obviously they're a lot more expensive. And it takes up more physical vertical space because you only can mount 1 per shelf. And you've got to have more room between the shelves. So, if you're limited on space, go to the T5s. It's super easy. If you have plenty of room and plenty of money, get those pinkish grow lights. They're much better. But
now we have the
ultimately, we've been
pinkish
using
in the
T5s for 5 years with no issues. So what'd you say, Jess? Sorry.
We have the pinkish in the T5s also. That's what we've been using for the basil.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we do pinkish T5s. And it is a wash with the electrical just because you're using 2 20 watts versus 1 42 watt pinkish T8.
Basically,
so it's a wash.
Yeah. Like Andy said, it's all
go.
about light spread, right? It's all it's about. And if you're using the T8 light, one of them down the middle of the light, do not put the reflectors on them. Your reflectors are meant to make the light shorter. So leave them off. You want that spread.
Yep. Throw those things in the trash.
Yes. Worthless. Unless the egg lady wants them.
Dan wanted to know what size bags of Costa Maine you are getting. It seems like around here they switched from the 2 cubic foot to 1 cubic foot bags. Yeah,
no, we get the 2.
Yeah, we do too. We buy them by the pallet. I'm sure you guys do too.
Yep.
I have 2, almost 3 pallets sitting back there right now.
Yeah. We just got 2 pallets in the other day. That's crazy.
Detroit Mike wants to know, how many shallow trays do you get from a 2 cubic foot bag of the Coast of Maine?
Andy, what are you getting?
So when we were filling them by hand, we were filling about halfway to 3/4. We were getting about 32 roughly per bag. Now that we've got the soil machine like what Mike does, I would say it's probably maybe 18, somewhere in that range, 15 to 18, I would guess. It's a total guess. I haven't even counted, to be honest. But I know when we were filling them by hand, we literally did count. It was usually about 30 to 32 for one bag.
We're getting 23 because I had the machine at one point that was completely empty or near empty and was able to fill in 3 or 4 bags and then count how many trays I got out of it, and it came out to an average of 23 trays per bag using the machine.
Okay. Well, I'd be willing to bet that's about what we're getting, is we have the exact same machine, the exact same trays. So that's good. I figured it'd probably cut it in half or close to half. So that's awesome. That's good to know.
I was pretty happy with that. So
Side note on that, Mike moves pretty quickly whenever he fills, so it doesn't overstuff the trays as he's pulling it through. And that can make a difference too. So the pace at which you're filling can make a difference with the tray filler.
Interesting. Okay.
You don't want to just sit there and let it dump on it and then pull it through, right? You want to get that initial fill and then pull, so just to get that top on there.
Kind of levels it out.
Yeah.
Yep. No, that's good. I'll have to try. I'd have to actually count ours next time and see.
Yeah.
Dan says he got some cheap LED lights from Costco and keep them about 9 inches away. Hey, that works. Awesome.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Microgreens will grow with any light. Let's be honest with you guys. Any light, they will grow. Now, with better light, they'll grow better. So, but if you're just starting out, you can get some cheap LED lights, throw them on there, and you can start growing. The main part is start growing.
Yeah. Yeah. And the nice thing is, with the T5s and T8s, the Barinos and stuff like that, they hook together, which is really nice. So you don't have to have one light switch for every single individual light. We set, some people will set up their whole entire rack on one light switch. We set our each individual shelf on its own light switch. So that way we can turn on and off shelves whenever we need to. So if we remove an entire shelf after harvest, then, we can turn that one individual one off. So you can do it however you want, really, when it boils down to it. There's also people that will put their racks together and they'll have the whole entire top, all on one switch. And then the next one's all on one switch. And it's really up to you how you want to set that up. So
that's how we got ours.
Just put it. Yeah. So just put it in a way that works best for you, whatever your setup is.
The great thing about them lights, you can set them up however you want. Very versatile.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
The one annoying thing, though, is I don't know if you guys have gotten any of the T8 pinkish lights recently, but they changed the plug now. There's like a male and female end to the little cable that goes between the two lights now, and it's super obnoxious.
Oh, boy. No, haven't got that.
And even on the restaurant store racks, which have a much larger like triangle in the end to put the actual wire through, they don't fit at all. Not even close. Like I literally had to shave them down with a knife to get them to go through. So that was a little frustrating. I don't know why they made that modification. It was a pretty dumb decision on their part.
Yeah.
So, just FYI, if you have to buy more of them. Yeah, I don't know if we just got a stupid batch or that's their new thing or what, but I was like, man, come on. I was setting up another automated watering rack for flowers and opened up that pack and I'm like, what the hell is this? Which I didn't care that much until I realized I wouldn't even fit through the stupid side of the rack. I was like, come on, man. No time for this crap.
I bet there was a few other words besides come on, man.
Yep. So that was frustrating.
I bet.
All right. Well, guys, I think I've made it through all of the questions from the comments.
Nice.
If there's anything I missed, guys, just let me know.
Right at an hour and a half. Perfect. So, again, we will see you guys here in 2 weeks. I want to confirm with you, Andy, that is July 4th weekend. It's July 6th. Is that still good for you?
Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, we don't have any plans for that weekend.
Okay.
So,
all right. So,
and I would say, guys, obviously, you know where to find us on all kinds of different places. So don't hesitate to reach out, comment on videos that we've got on YouTube. I'm sure you guys do too. We try and reply to everything that gets asked. So don't worry about that. Find us on social media. You can DM us on there, get into our school groups. You can DM us through there as well. Be part of those communities. There's so many ways. And don't hesitate to send friend requests. At least if I can tell that you're a microgreens grower, even though you have zero mutual friends, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll bring this guy in. But if you have zero posts about microgreens on your Facebook page at all, and there's no evidence whatsoever, then I'm probably not going to accept it. So if you want to be friends with me, at least make sure I know in some fashion that you're a microgreens grower so I can actually do that. Or you can just DM me directly on there and that's fine too. But as I am, and I'm sure you guys are too, we get back to you when we can. Obviously, we still have huge operations to run, but we're all good about getting back to everybody. It's just a matter, it may be a day or two, it may be the same day. You may happen to catch us literally while we're sitting there with our phone in our hands, so it's kind of hit or miss as to how fast you're going to get back in a reply. But, obviously we have big businesses that we both run, so we've got to deal with that sometimes too outside of this. But we do our best to get back to everybody. And I know that's probably the same in both camps as far as I can probably understand. So don't hesitate. That's what I'm trying to say.
Don't hesitate. Yep. And if you're like YouTube now has that special place on there for communities that we have access to. It's just rolling out, so not everybody has access to it yet. where you can go on there and you can make your own post in the community. I turned that on last week. So you're able to go in there and make a post. If you got a question, put it in there. Start a conversation with people. Great way to interact if you're not part of our school groups. You're going to get more direct information, more direct talk there than you are if you're posting in just a random Facebook group online, so check us out there if you're not part of any of our school groups, and we'll communicate with you guys more there.
Yeah. And I see
All
Mario just jumped on real quick to say bye.
Yes. Hi and bye, Mario.
I always have to give credit to Mario. He was a huge help in getting Farm Flow up and running. So I pretty much gave him the command of trying to break things and trying to, destroy things. And he did a phenomenal job. So I will always, always, always give that man credit. Yep. So hopefully he's still on here to hear that. But if not, he'll hear it in the recording.
Yes. All right. On that, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you July 6th would be the next one in a couple of weeks. And talk to you then. Have a good night. Bye.
See you guys.